morning, Sanchit.
Morning.
Sanchit, we are going to talk about key performance indicators that a company which has outsourced software product development should monitor. We keep getting questions from a lot of companies looking to outsource work about how they should go about monitoring the success of a software product development project.
Okay.
So you guys do a lot of software product development for your clients. And how do you go about working with your clients on that?
Right. See, first of all, our client or any company should really understand whether it's a good idea to outsource the product development. And I think the best way to find it out is at a very strategic level is to really see, what is the cost and time to market benefit they can get if they outsource. So, for example, if I want to outsource my product development, I should see if I'm doing it in-house, how much cost it will take me until, and it can be a very broad, estimate.
Okay.
So if it takes me $100,000, say if I take care of my employees and the software that I'll need, and all the other costs. So how much will it cost me, as against what will cost if I am outsourcing. So if I'm getting a significant, benefit of say 40%, 30%, I should really go for outsourcing. And the second is the time to market. So I may have a smaller team, but if I can really get access to a much bigger team, which can quicken my time to market. So if I want to, against 1 year, if I can get the product out in say about 8 months, I think it's a great idea to outsource.
Okay.
Yeah. So once you have really decided to outsource your product development at a more operational level, we feel that there are two things which, if you measure and if you measure continuously, it really goes a long way in making the relationship very strong and to get the best out of your software vendor.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first is productivity. Because of the whole nature of software development, we have to be very, very pragmatic of what would be the productivity that we can expect from a vendor. So, expecting 100% productivity from an outsourced product development team is probably not right.
Okay.
Yeah. So typically, a team would take some time to ramp up, to come up to speed. And even at their peak performance levels, we should expect about 85 to 90% productivity as against if I were doing it in house, and that is because we of communication, of really spending some more time on understanding, getting requirements together. So how do we measure productivity? So we use agile development, and I think the velocity chart is the best way, which is nothing but a trend of the story points done per iteration.
Okay.
So,
and what is the story point?
Yeah, so typically in an iteration, everything is a user story.
Okay.
So for example, I've forgotten my password, I want to retrieve it. It's a user story.
Okay.
So I could give any weightage to this story depending upon the complexity.
Okay.
So I can choose from 1 to 5.
Okay.
And then the estimate of the story, how much time it will take to complete the story. So basically, I get the story points for each story.
Okay.
And so say, I can do about 50 story points in a certain iteration.
Okay.
As I go from one iteration to the next, the number of these story points should increase. So the trend should be an upward curve, because as your software vendor is developing and understanding more of your product, getting comfortable with the technology, the domain, they should be able to get more done in the same amount of time and effort.
Okay.
So for example, what you can do is say over a period of 6 iterations, what was the average number of story points done per iteration, or what was the rate of increase of story points per iteration. That's, I think, is a very good metric to measure the productivity and really discuss it after each iteration with your vendor.
Okay.
Right. The only other metric, if you ask about the top KPIs, is very important is the quality or the defect rate.
Right.
Yeah. So which is basically number of valid defect found in an iteration. So if you have a 2 weeks or 4 weeks iteration, what is the defect escape rate? So how many defects did you find from the build or the release that you got from your software vendor?
Okay.
And then try to put some metrics around it. So for example, if you have say more than 10 severity 1 defects, you can even have financial penalties, or if there are more than 10 severity 1, severity 2 defects, the vendor would have to fix these defects at his own cost.
Okay.
So it's very important to really tie the defect rate into an SLA.
Okay, so those things are to be thought of upfront when you are signing the contract.
Definitely. Yeah, we typically give these KPIs, the productivity, defect KPIs, velocity charts, and our figures to our clients. That is what we propose and we promise to deliver.
Okay.
So for example, the number of test cases automated per iteration. So as iteration goes on, we are automating more and more testing.
The more test cases you automate, the faster your development and release happens.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
And then you also have, as you are developing product, you also have a huge suite of test cases which you can later, keep using when you're releasing updates to your software.
Okay.
Much later. Yeah.
Thank you, Sanchit. That was very informative.
Thanks.